You are listening to your New Puppies podcast, starting you and your dog off on the right paw. Here's your host, Debbie Salento.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of your New Puppies podcast. I'm Debbie, and today I'm going to give you a bunch of hot weather enrichment activities that you can do with your dog. It's July. It's been a hot summer. It's gonna be a hot summer. And honestly, the only thing my brain wants to think about right now is how to cool down. So that's kind of where this podcast episode came from. I'm going to walk you through just a bunch of activities you can do with your dog in the heat. So I have 3 different types. I'm going to go over some water activities you can try. I'm going to go over some frozen treats you can make where they can just chill in the shade, and other activities that you won't even have to go outside for. Now, each one of these came out of the enrichment database that I have that is exclusive to Playtime Paws Academy. It's just a database of hundreds of activities. I update it and I put new ones in there monthly. So I'm always experimenting. I'm always looking for new ideas. And that's why putting this type of podcast together is always a little fun. Okay, before we get into the fun stuff, let's talk about, real quick, heat and dogs. So just about every dog is going to have trouble with any kind of extreme heat, also extreme cold. But specifically, puppies have a hard time regulating their temperature, compared to adult dogs. So you really have to be careful with them. Any kind of push nose breeds, the, pugs or bulldogs or French bulldogs or even boxers, they're going to have a hard time cooling themselves down because a dog's main way is through panting. So because they have that odd airway, they are very prone to overheating. So you have to be extremely careful with them. If you have an older dog, they also have a little bit more trouble with heat. I'm dealing with that right now with Mariah. And of course, the dogs with the double coats, the ones that are built for the cold, are gonna have trouble in the heat. I'm talking your Huskies, your Mountain Dogs, Samoyeds, all of those. Now, some of us might be tempted to shave our dogs, and you're not supposed to do that because their coats insulate them from the heat just as much as the cold. So you're actually doing more harm than good there. It's better just to give them, shade, plenty of water, or even just keep them in the air conditioning. Now, I'm going to link to a couple articles on heat exhaustion and what it looks like and, the first aid to take. But in general, if your dog is excessively panting, drooling, if they seem a little disoriented or lethargic, those are all initial signs. And you just got to get them into the shade. You can use cool water. They recommend tap water, not cold water, because that can shock their system. And of course, get them to a vet. All right. There's going to be more details in that article, but that's heat exhaustion, 101. Okay, so let's dive in, and I'm going to start with some water activities. And I want to start here because, playing in water is the obvious hot weather activity, right? But sometimes we don't realize that our dogs love water. Maybe we think they hate water, but we just haven't found the right activity for them. Now, if you have a dog that loves water, then, you know that you do. You can't keep them out of the pool or the lake or the ocean or even their own water bowl. But if you're not sure, or maybe you got them a baby pool and they really weren't interested, there's some other things we can experiment with. I also like to mention here is even if your dog hates the bath, they still might love to play with water, because going in the bath where it's not their choice, it's against their will, is very different than splashing around in a baby pool for most dogs, okay? So I still encourage you to try if you think this would be fun for you and your dog. So the first one, a baby pool. You just get it from, your local department store, any place that has like a seasonal department is going to probably have one. And I always just like to start with like a little bit of water in the bottom, and maybe I'll throw some toys in there to encourage them to go and play in it and see what happens. And as they get more used to it, maybe I put a little bit, make it a little deeper and deeper and see if they will, engage with it. Now, if that doesn't work for you, then you could also try the hose. I've known so many dogs that see a pool full of water and they're like, I don't want it. But then the hose comes out and they go nuts. They love just biting at the water and playing in that stream. And, just like anything, we want to start slow so we don't scare them if they've never seen it before. And, you keep the pressure low and then you can increase it as, if they really enjoy it, if they start playing with it. Sprinkler is very similar. I like the one that you attach the end to the hose and it kind of like swings back and forth. I keep the pressure super low so the streams are also low, and let your dog investigate it. Again, a lot of them like to jump at the water and it's a little less intrusive than a hose. So a lot of them are more confident with it and they'll bite at it. This is where you can get the kids involved because the kids could be jumping through the sprinkler with the dog, and you can you can adjust the pressure depending on what your dog's preferences are. Now, my personal favorite, well, really it's Ollie's personal favorite, and I'll put a picture in the show notes about it, but it's kind of a combination between a sprinkler and a pool, which is a splash pad. And it's just a flat pad that you attach to the hose, and as the edges fill up, streams of water spurt out the top, and then the pad is just deep enough where it only holds a couple inches of water. So it's very similar to like if they like to splash around in a puddle. Same idea as the sprinkler, you change the pressure of the hose and that changes like how high or low the streams of water go. And that can make a big difference for a dog. So the second category I have for you are some frozen treats. So this is something you can make for your dog. And if they're outside, you can give it to them to chill in the shade, eat a nice cool treat, and keep them busy for a little while. So the simplest version of this is you take any freezable container and you put treats, you can put their food, you can put a toy or two in there, and then you fill it with water and you freeze it. Now, sometimes I'll blend up some watermelon to add to the water to make it a little more tasty. You can also add chicken broth, anything like that. And I'd like to put some treats in there. I like to put toys, like I'll get like a rope toy and kind of put it half into the water, so then when it freezes it's almost like a little handle for them, and then you give it to them and you let them play with it and you let them lick it and you let them chew on it and try to get to the treats and the toys. And the beauty about this is that you can make it as big or as small as you want. It just depends on the size of the container. So whatever you think your dog's going to enjoy, experiment with it a little bit. I also will use a bunt pan, which makes a ring of ice. I do a very thin layer, so Ollie actually, after a while, starts to carry it around in his mouth like it's a Frisbee. It's just to get a different shape, which makes it interesting for them. The other one I've done, which I really liked, was to make frozen water balloons. So I actually got reusable water balloons. They're like a silicone ball and they have like magnets that hold them together. So like when you open it up, you submerge it in water and close it. The water gets trapped inside, you throw it, it opens up, but then you can pick it up and reuse it. So I just got them off of Amazon. And I did the same thing. I filled a bowl with water. I put some treats and some kibble in there. And then I closed the reusable water balloon around it and froze it. You can use a traditional water balloon and just, shove the treats and the kibble inside of it, fill it with water, and then freeze it. And when you're ready, all you have to do is just snip the top and it comes out. And I like this because it's a ball. And sometimes you don't even have to add anything to it depending on how much your dog loves ice and how much your dog loves balls. So it was incredibly easy and a great success in this household. Okay, number 3 is our indoor activities. This might be the one that most of you are waiting for. You're like, I don't even want to go outside. And I don't blame you. So some of my favorite indoor games to play with your dog is a scavenger hunt, which is you just take portions of their dinner and you hide it around the house. Make it super easy at first, it's in the middle of the room, but maybe in 2 different rooms where your dog can find it until they learn what's happening and what they're searching for. And then you can make it harder and harder. I find kids like to get really involved in this because they can find all the different hiding places for the dog. And speaking of which, I also love to play hide and seek. Now, if you have heard me talk about one of my favorite recall games, Rover Round Robin, in the download that I have with the instructions on how to play that game, I give a way to turn it into hide and seek. It's a family game, so each person takes turns, and we're calling the dog to us, so they're running from person to person, and eventually they have to learn that game first, and then you go and you hide. And you call your dog to you and you play hide and seek. Maybe you're holding a portion of their dinner, maybe you're holding a treat, but most of the time just finding them and getting a little party when they do is enough of a reward. And then they go and run and find the next person that has started to call them. If you want to get that download with step-by-step instructions, you can go to playtimepause.com/game. So it's playtimepause.com/GAME. Okay. Another one that I like, one of my new favorites, is if you have a dog and they already know a bunch of tricks or cues, okay? You only really need maybe 4 of them, but you create I call it a tricks relay. So you could put up formal signs if you want, or you just decide, okay, we're going to do sit by the couch. We're going to do paw by the coffee table, down on his bed. You get the point. And you can make it a race and see if you can get them to do it, go through it faster and faster and faster. So great for a dog who already knows a bunch of stuff and to kind of upgrade it and make it more exciting to practice their cues. And the last idea I had requires very little effort, and that's just to bring them to dog-friendly stores that have air conditioning. So you put them in the air-conditioned car and then you bring them into the air-conditioned store and you walk around. Maybe it's a specific errand you need to run, or maybe it's just to bring them out to a new environment because when you can't bring them for a walk or you shorten their walk because it's hot out, just bringing them to a new environment to just walk around and explore can really make up for that lost walk because the exploration is just as important as that physical walk. That's why I always encourage you to let your dog sniff and explore when you are on your walk. So a lot of the big box hardware stores like Home Depot and Lowe's, I know a couple of the craft stores, I think Joann Fabrics and Michael's, and of course these are stores that I know of that are around me. It might be different around you. Obviously, go check them out, call first. But you would be surprised what stores allow dogs nowadays. And of course, there's the local pet store. And that's it. So there was over 10 activities I gave you, I think. But either way, this was more to give you some ideas. Maybe you use one directly or take it, make it your own. Maybe it sparks something completely new. Like I said, I am always looking for new ideas or twists on old ideas to have new activities and keep it exciting for you and your dog. And that is all I have for you today. If you are enjoying this podcast, you can rate and review it wherever you listen. If you would like to continue training with me, I have virtual and in-person packages. I also have my signature 4-week new puppy course, Your Perfect Puppy, which includes a membership in Playtime Pause Academy, which includes my enrichment database where I got all these activities from. If you want more information about that, you can go to playtimepause.com YNP.com/puppy. And as always, any links I mention are in the show notes. Stay cool this summer, and until next time, I'll speak with you soon. Bye for now.